Wasim. I'm a urology consultant in Herefordshire, and we're going to have a chat today about an insider's guide to how to get an NTN number. So just out of interest in the room here, who is a medical student? Any medical students still left? Yep, so perfect. And foundation level doctors? Couple. Current fellow levels who are looking to get a number? Fair few. Okay. So, you probably see all the titles and you see a picture with Professor Sri Prasad, who I think is here somewhere, and think, oh, okay, wow, this is amazing. Don't be fooled. In reality, that was me. It was minimal effort Mahmalji is what I was known as in medical school. Went to lectures, just enough to pass, and luckily I've just found out safe. Also, just did enough to do lots of football at university and things along those lines. So unsurprisingly, I really struggled to get a good F1, F2 post. I just remember putting 0 a lot in all of the boxes. Publications, 0. Audits, 0. And that's what I got. Same, didn't really learn my lesson at F1 foundation level. So I went to the 3rd round of clearing for a core training post. Now, taking into account now, there are medical students here who've probably already got now presenting here a presentation. There are people out there who know in their very early part of their career that they want to do urology, so they're already gearing up their portfolios to that. So that's a kind of level you really need to be at. The earlier you recognize what you want and you gear yourself to getting it, probably the better. So the best thing that ever happened to me was, anyone know who this chap is? Yeah, it's James Forster. So James Forster was my ST4 level registrar when I moved to Yorkshire as a CT1. And I said to him, oh yeah, James, I want to do urology. And he said, yeah, great. How many of these do you have? Of which I remember the number 0. And it kind of, it's your eye opener. Every now and again in your career, you get something called the eye opener, where for some of you guys, hopefully it might be this talk. For me, it was James telling me I stood 0 chance of getting a national training number with my current efforts. So we looked into how we could do it. How could we sort out prizes, publications, and all the other stuff, including what Ian mentioned earlier, which is going the extra mile. You do have to stand out. You're competing against, I think the national training last year was for every post, like 5 or 6 people. So you've got to stick out from the rest of the crowd. And that's the same as a medical student. That's the same as a foundation doctor, even when you're a consultant. And the outcome, so after 2 years of very hard work, I was lucky enough to come 2nd in national training. I published a chapter in a book, and I was a consultant at 33. Probably not the greatest thing considering the toast and burnout. I'm probably the most burnt piece of toast you'll find, but there we go. So, we'll start off with the portfolio. Effectively, your portfolio is your golden ticket to getting selected for an interview to national training. And the key thing is again, to kind of plan early. If you've already made a decision that you want a career in urology, you need to look at the entry criteria and look at the portfolio scores and plan early. So yeah, there are points for an MSc. If you're a CT2, you're probably a little bit late in the day. Look at all the qualifications, and if you are going to apply, try and make sure that your portfolio is done maybe by November, December maximum, because you need to have everything submitted in around January. So we'll quickly whip through all of them. I mean, classically, getting PhDs and the higher degrees, everyone says not ascertainable, nearly impossible. And yeah, for the vast majority it is. But I tell you what isn't, is an MSc. So I started an MSc just at the beginning of CT1. So by the time I applied, you managed to get yourself those 3 points. I can't emphasize scrapping for every single point for your portfolio is important. I think I was speaking to Zeki earlier, who said someone who ranked 20th and someone who ranked 40th, the difference was 1 mark. So that 1 mark could very well be the difference between you getting a national training number that year or not. And it'll only get harder as the year goes on. The next thing is papers and publications, normally a bit of a hot topic. So you do need to take into account. They do take time. So certain journals take a lot of time, can be up to 6 months till you hear something, and then you might hear that it got rejected and your application's in a couple of weeks. So you need to take into account it takes time. Choose your journal very wisely. Listen, it is a little bit of a tick box process. So sometimes you think to yourself, right, if you come into a department, they've got lots of projects going, you've got a couple of months to get your application in, you need a quick turnaround project. Be involved, definitely be involved in the bigger studies that will be published in the bigger journals. But for the interest of time, you're probably going to need to find a thrifty, very interesting project that you can turn around quite quickly. Indexing is important. Now, indexing is Bhaskar Shamani and Prof. Sriarand. I mean, they've probably got more publications than everyone in here put together. But it's a tough one, isn't it? Because the indexing criteria of getting a national training number isn't always reflective of the quality of a journal. So I'll give you a good example. I'm the editor-in-chief of a journal, and we're indexed on everything bar PubMed. But because we're not a PubMed recognised journal, we're on the green list and MBase, we just about scrape through to national trading. But there are some very good journals out there that aren't on PubMed, which, my humble opinion, probably should qualify for national trading. Then there are some not so great journals, which are paid journals. If you put your $3,000 forward, you will get anything published. So you need to be a bit aware between the difference between a journal that charges an article processing charge, which is normally in the realms of $400 or $500, and a paid journal. But again, you can get things published. You just have to get the right paper. Case reports don't count anymore, but in the good old days, there were plenty of case reports. But you can get tidy case series, reviews of literatures. They still do get accepted. Again, another one that's really achievable. There's no reason anyone shouldn't be maxing out on these things. Easiest thing we do, so when we get all of our clinical fellows that come to Hereford, the first thing we do is we go back to the audit department and re-audit what we've done a couple of years ago. So you've got a re-audit, you've got studies ready to go. So wherever you do go and speak to the audit department, speak to your educational lead, find out what you can do. And there are now points for urology theme. So again, really, really, really easy marks to get. And we've had a couple of guys who, just haven't pushed and squeezed that extra 1 mark out here and there. And that can, end up being quite significant further down the line. Okay, so bit of a busy slide, but presentations, first author, podium, there is an absolutely huge number of institutions you can go to. So again, what we do, and I remember when I was a CT1, CT2 wanting to get a training number, is saturation. You find yourself 4 or 5 good projects and you submit them absolutely everywhere. Statistically, you will get selected, they will eventually get themselves into the right meeting, and all of the above have subsections. So you've got, for example, BAUS, you've got endourology, you've got the oncology, there's loads of different subsections to get your stuff published and presented. Sometimes, again, it's a little bit of a point scoring system. It's actually sometimes easier to get into the kind of bigger international ones than get it into a regional meeting. So again, just find some good projects and put them everywhere. Maybe 80% will get rejected, but 20% will get taken. The other thing is, don't overlook departmental and deanery meetings. It's sometimes the smaller meetings where you're more likely to win a prize. Presenting something at the big American meeting where there's hundreds of abstracts and things like that, even though your work's probably very good, getting it to win a prize might be a bit difficult. But most certainly, some of the smaller meetings, departmental meetings, you can still win a prize. Yeah, another one, again, everyone says, a formal diploma in teaching and things along those lines. It is, in my humble opinion, your best option here is to do an MSc in education. So if you're coming towards the end of your Foundation 1 or Foundation 2 year, or you're starting off quite early in CT, doing a lot of them are distance masters, they're all online now. You can get yourself all the points you need for education and all the points you need for a master's. So that will give you best part of 6 points, which is a big chunk of your portfolio. The other stuff, there are online diplomas, and I think it's in teach the trainers, everyone's going to have that. So when we said you've got to stand out, that's probably one of the things that's going to make you stand out. Formal courses, again, in Hereford, every year we run a catheter course, a urological emergency course. You affiliate it with the education centre, try and affiliate it with something else, and you will be able to get all of your points. Prizes, again, you've got a little section on prizes. It's very much like presentations. Submit stuff everywhere. Even some of the, if it's not a presentation, there are loads of essay prizes. You go to the RSM. The RSM run loads and loads of essay prizes. Absolutely neglected. You find out that not many people tend to know about them. So even if you put in essay prizes, online poster prizes, they still count. So the other question we always get from people give me a call and how are we going to do all of this? We run busy clinics, we everything else. It's a bit like one ring to rule them all. It's let me introduce you to this guy. This guy is Mo Farah, not the Mo Farah. It's a common name in Sudan. So he was our clinical fellow, came on a 2-year thing. We said first year, probably not the best idea. You need to get a bit of experience. He was only in the country about 1.5 years. But he's now, at the first attempt, got a national training number in East of England and one project. We did a project on J-fill stents. Did we get it? Is it an audit? Yep, we had a bunch of people who had standard stents in for PUJ obstruction, changed them and put J-fill stents in. So is it an audit? Yes. So we registered it with the audit department and it ticked the audit box. Does it count as research? Well, technically, yes. We're looking at the effect of introducing a different technology in a group of patients. Was it presented? Yeah, we presented it at lots of international and smaller meetings, including the Welsh. And this is Gokul, who we got it published, yes. And did it win a prize? Yes. So most people think, I'm going to have to take on 10 papers to publish, I'm going to have to take on 10 projects. Probably one or two really good solid things will probably tick every single box of all the stuff you need. Again, it used to be volume, now it's more down to competency, and one more slide. So you've got to chase the opportunities, swap your lists, and you've got maybe stay late Saturday lists if you're struggling for circumcisions, things like that. Loads of opportunity on a Saturday. Again, the awards, we've got an MDT lead, a rota lead, complex gait lead, and after every 6 months, we swap them over, so they automatically tick that they've had 2 roles. The interview itself, it's clinic, what you do every single day in clinic. No one's trying to catch you out. They're not trying to see, let's make them make a mistake. It's just what you do every day in clinic, practice with colleagues. And the stations, if you historically go back 2 or 3 years, you'll more than likely get similar stations again. And just from our side of things, these are all of our fellows. I've forgotten a couple, but we've been very successful. With all your successes, one guy didn't get a number, missed by a couple of marks, decided to try somewhere else. And one guy, after 6 months, decided country life in Hereford wasn't for him. For every success, we had a couple of guys that weren't so successful. But thank you very much for listening to me, and any questions?